Hello and welcome to Lost Forge Tabletop Gaming. Apologies, I'm still using my ghetto setup, but I'm trying up a different angle this time. But we got something happy today. Today is the release of Dark Tidings, and I was actually able to get some cards on release day. This is not the card apocalypse. Luckily enough, I set up some contacts right when I got into this new state and ordered a box, so I'm going to be opening up some of these as we go. We are looking at a new wrapping, Unlock the Secrets of the Deep. It contains 200 new cards, a new pool of unique decks. One deck per player is allowed all you need to start. Rules are available online. I do think that Keyforge had the unique visuals on the shelves when they were in the cardboard boxes, but people have been saying that they're easy to break into and easy to return and stuff, so there's that, and I understand, but something about, like, Keyforge, I liked using the boxes to kind of sort through my decks, but we're going to open up and check out this, so make sure I blur that out. So, who do we got here? Boom, boom. The Foolishly Dignified Storm Stomper. Not a bad name. Logos, Saurian, and Shadow. So, keep in mind that we do not have Dis this time around. They've been replaced by the new faction, which I can't remember their name offhand, but that is the main thing. So we're going to look at this deck. There is the full list for those curious. It is a 2 rare deck. Oof. I'll open it and check it out and read through some of the cards. Come on. Is there a tab here? It feels like there's a tab. Every time I do a deck opening, I just cannot. The knife is out, ladies and gentlemen. Made it harder to get to my cards. There we go. Another thing I've noticed with this set is that the card list over here is now horizontal. Is that because this is... No. The card list... Okay. Interesting. So this is still the Archon, but it's just horizontal now. Alright, so the new mechanic, if you are not aware, is certain cards will adjust this, the tide. And at any point you can raise or lower the tide on either side of the... on the board. So if it's high tide for me and low tide for my opponent, he could pay 3 chains and then raise it, and this would shift. So now I would have low tide, he would have high tide. And a lot of cards tie into this mechanic of high and low tide. I don't know if every set... Yep, it will tell you whether or not it does come with a high, the tide card. But we'll check out and see. So we'll put that out. Alright, starting out with Shadow. Secret Needles, not a bad card to start with. I do like it. Scooped, deal 2 damage to a creature. If it is not destroyed, it captures from your own side. That's not too bad, but remember, when you capture from your own side, it still goes to your opponent, based on the rules. Loot or pillage, choose 1. Steal, or a friendly captures 3. Not bad, giving cards multiple options. They're very kind of light on options, but I'd probably always capture 3 over steal 1, depending on what you need, but it also depends on what this deck needs. Elusive, Reap with that title symbol. Deal 1 damage to each creature. If the tide is high, deal 6 damage to a creature instead. So that's, again, where it comes into play. If the tide is high or low, you get different effects. It's marked by that tide icon. Hornswoggle, use an enemy artifact as if it were Not too bad. At least it gives you an amber if there are no artifacts in place. So you can dump it out of your hand. There's 2. Hard Simpson. Elusive. After Hard Simpson is dealt damage, steal 1. If the tide is low, your opponent steals 1 instead. Never good to have a very conditional card that is a permanent like this, because, you know, your opponent can pay to change the high and low tide any point, and there are cards that can adjust that as well. So having something that on your opponent's turn can be adjusted is very risky, and the benefit of stealing 1 opposed to them stealing 1 is very not good, I don't think. I don't think Hard Simpson's a very good card. Cement Shoes, deal 2 damage to a creature. If the damage destroys that creature, raise the tide. See what I mean? If an opponent plays this on with another creature in Hard Samson's round, not worth it, because there's a free amber that they get to steal. You may exalt Money Bank up to 2 times, steal 1 for each amber on Money Bank. This card, or Monty Bank, is very good, because when he comes into play, you may put 2 amber on him, and then he can steal 2 every turn if you're able to protect him. If you have any, if you're paired with Saurian like this deck, you may be able to give him some invincibility and stuff. This card could be very strong, and having 2 of them, even stronger. Miasma Bomb. Enhance. Destroy Miasma Bomb. Your opponent skips the next Forge a Key step during the next turn. Very good. Yeah, skip a step and then enhance for an additional damage. We have not seen that enhance yet, so we'll see where it comes up. Speak of the Devil. Ring of Invisibility. This creature gains elusive and skirmish. Pairs greatly with Monty Bank. Getting into the Saurian. I love that art. Look at that. Venator Ultim. After Venom Ultimate deals damage, if the tide is low, exalt him. Not too bad. That isn't as bad as having a steal, because you can do stuff with low tide and high tide. Or, I mean, with exalt with Saurian. So that isn't a bad mechanic. And a 7-2, pretty good. 2 of them, even better. Reach, advantage, play if the tide is high, a friendly creature captures 3, otherwise raise the tide. Also, see, no punishment for having a low tide or high tide, and at very minimum you get an amber, raise the tide, or you get to capture 3. Pretty good. Tide mechanics are very good. Magister of Vita, you may exalt a friendly non-Saurian creature if you do reap with it. Pretty alright. That pairs really well with Monty Bank. I think the deck is definitely going to pair a lot with that Monty. A lot of high steal. He's going to be a very valuable target, I feel. Your opponent's keys cost +1 for each friendly creature with amber on it. You may exalt a friendly creature. That's also very good, and for a 4-cost creature that has a play effect too. Again, Crushing Charge. Destroy each creature with the 4 or lower. Gain 1 chain. That's pretty good for only 1 chain. Censor Philo. Censor Philo cannot be dealt damage by creatures with amber on them. Pardon? That's pretty good. To him. Carpe Venom. Exalt 2 enemy creatures. Pretty good pairing. And then Grimlockus Ducks, taunt, exalt him twice, 11-2. Alright, and the logos, Talmage Steelheart. Give Talmage Steelheart a +1 power counter for each card you have played this turn, including this one. That's very good with logos, if you can pair it right. Each player loses 1 amber. If the tide is high, each player loses half their amber instead. Pardon? Okay. Man, that is a board equalizer. Science! For the remainder of the turn, after you play another action, gain 1 amber. Ooh. Okay. Phase shift, you may play a non-Logos card this turn. Okay, I'm seeing what Logos wants to do this set. Enhance 2, draw cards, pretty good. Hydro Logger. After a player raises the tide, they archive the top card of their deck. Pairs pretty well with some of the Saurian cards we have. Destroy each creature. Each player draws a card for each creature they controlled that was destroyed this turn. Draw a card. Okay. ED 4x4. Okay. Not bad. Deal 2 damage to a creature. If this damage destroys that creature, raise the tide. Pretty good. Deal 2 when it comes into play for a 4-cost creature. Archive a card from your discard pile. Okay. And finally, the last card of the set, Mecha Buoy. At the start of each player's turn, if the tide is high for that player, they gain 1 amber. Not the best artifact. It is definitely a passive artifact that can help both you and your opponent. I'm not sure if this triggers before the Forge a Key step or after. I'll have to look at the rules for it. But that could definitely benefit your opponent greatly if they time it right. So you have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Right now, my immediate observation with this deck, there are 2 major strategies. In the logo side, it is generating amber through the use of playing abilities and playing cards, and synergizing with other cards in your deck to play those cards. Then you have the Saurian, which is exalting cards and benefiting from exalting both yours and your opponent's cards. And then finally, Shadow, where it is genuinely stealing a light amount of amber or a heavy amount of amber using the tricks of Monty Bank. I think Monty Bank is going to be your main way of disrupting your opponent's amber while generating amber with Exile. And then you have kind of a second synergy with this. I think the win condition lives within this exalting of the Monty Banks and abusing his playability and trying to protect him using the taunts of Grimlock Ducks. It's gonna be an interesting deck, I think, overall. Some of the cards I really like out of this set is, I don't know if Science has been in before or not. It's so hard to tell. Tailmage Steelheart, or Tailmage Steelheart, pretty cool. Pretty cool card. There's a lot of really rough high tide load stuff. Like capturing 3 or raising it for free isn't bad, especially for the amber cost. This guy's really good because if you can pull stuff off your exile, or I keep saying exile and I apologize, from your extorts and stuff like that, that might be too bad. But yeah, it just, use an enemy artifact isn't bad. It's just, if your opponent doesn't really run any good artifacts or artifacts that, you know, are passive, these are just gain an amber, cycle it. But if you can pair it with the playing a card a turn, it's not too bad. What this deck definitely lacks is board control, artifact control, and what else is it? There are full board wipes, but there's not enough damage dealing to really clear a board. And I think it doesn't have a good enough job of controlling what your opponent can do each turn. There is one key stop, there is a few key taxes, and there's a few cards that will let you... I'm trying to think what else. I don't think there's a punch. There really isn't much punch to this deck. It is a very sustainable deck. It has a lot of doubles. But I just don't think... There isn't enough oomph to make this really... really hit hard. There's not much for combo potential outside of the Monty Banks or the generating a lot of amber. There isn't a key cheat. That's another big thing. There isn't a key cheat in this deck, and I don't know if there's many key cheats at all for this set. So we will have to see once I'm more comfortable looking at the spoilers. Overall, I would say that this deck would be good in a sealed event. It's very playable, very easy to use, very low effort in finding some of the stuff you want to do with the deck. But there could be more that could be added. The combination of these 3, I think, pair. I don't think there's any counter synergy that I can think of besides the Tide mechanic, but I think that's going to be an overall hindrance to every player who is using Tide. And if you're playing in set or playing a block versus block deck, I think Tide is going to be very good. If you're playing any deck versus any deck, I think you will have the opportunity to really control the board or force your opponent to pay those 3 chains. I would give this a C as a deck. I would like to see where it goes. Haha, with this C-themed deck. Ha ha ha. And I think it's playable. I definitely want to shop with it a bit more. Hopefully I can get a chance to just play this deck and see where it is. Not my favorite. I like the name, but I think there's some pretty cool cards that we are missing out of because of the low amount of rares in this deck. If you like this, let me know what you think about this deck. Let me know what kind of decks you are opening up in Keyforge Dark Tidings. And please let me know what your favorite deck name is. There's a lot of good names I've been coming across in my booster pack openings that I really enjoy. So that's all I want to hear from you. This is another really bad ending brought to you by Lost Forge Tabletop Gaming. Please subscribe, like that notification bell, and make fun of me any chance you get for my bad outros, because I know it's bad. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.